This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Granger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Back on the Northland Sports Page, hour number 2 getting started. PA is right around the corner. Brian Prudhomme, Dave Cook. Bumping in with little Janet Jackson, who was just at the X earlier this week, back on Tuesday. Little what have you done for me lately? When it comes to PA, for us, the answer is just about anything we've asked for, which is awesome.
Absolutely. That was one of the points of the song. I mean, to be able to say, PA does all kinds of stuff for us recently, lately, a while ago. I mean,
right. Whatever we did to deserve it,
awesome.
I have no idea. But having it has been great. And of course, the method to our madness today behind our music is a lot of high school seniors had their last day yesterday. And so we conjured up music from our senior years. For Dave Cook, it's 1986. For me, it's 1997. And again, Dave Cook in the musical battle, you win.
Well, again, 1986 seems to be an official year of really long intros to songs. So
it does. And maybe this intro for PA was a little long. So let's go right to the Vox. He's also a music aficionado. I'm sure he'll have something to say about musical choices. But first of all, good morning, PA. How are you this Saturday?
Good morning. The serendipity of the scenario is I got a chance to Google the supposedly the best songs or the chart toppers, 1984, when I graduated. And we got Everybody Put Loose, Got Abandoned in You. We also have, this Let's Hear It for the Boy. No, that's not good. I don't like that one. Oh, you know what? You had Phil Collins with a slow song called Against All Odds, and it was in a movie. It was a touchy-feely movie, man, but might have been the second time I cried at a movie. It was the movie might have been called Against All Odds, but Jeff Bridges was the star of it. So Like a Virgin by Madonna, and Prince had When Doves Cry in '84. And what's interesting about Prince, for those who discuss like music immortality, Prince and Michael Jackson, I mean, worldwide, if you were to rank like the all-time most noteworthy people in the history of the world, I think, whether you're into faith or not, I think Jesus would be one. And then around there, you're going to get like Nelson Mandela, Muhammad Ali. Michael Jackson would be high up, where Prince might not. But if there was no Prince doing it the way he did it, I don't think Madonna would have necessarily done it the way she did it, risque as they were. So Prince kind of started a genre of music.
That is very well stated. So glad to have PA with us again. All I did, if you're wondering how I solved that problem, you know how an IT guy usually tells you, well, I don't know, reboot it. That's what I did on the fly. I just restarted the whole thing. So whatever works, that'll work. And it was Prince night last night at Target Field. I'm just going to keep talking to you because I know your bits here, and I'm not going to take the bait here.
Yeah, man, you got my bits.
I know, right? It's almost like I listened to Common just enough to eye roll the whole thing.
I know, right?
Right, exactly. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the supposed magical date of June 1st. In the NFL, that is a benchmark date. Here we are on the 3rd, and there wasn't a ton of movement. Are we bracing for calm before the storm, or are you not expecting very much?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. And, when you texted me, graciously inviting me on, you mentioned that June 1st piece. So I started thinking about Dalvin a little bit. I've been off 9 to noon this week, so I haven't thought a lot of sports-related festivities. I did go to a Vikings OTA and watch some of those kids run around on Tuesday. That was cool. But the Dalvin situation, you know that I'm layering guy. So you start from who is the best running back on the team? It's Dalvin Cook. All right. Now, when you pair whatever money he potentially would accept or he is set to make, my heartfelt belief is that does not fit in with the parameters of how they're looking to recoup cash. All right. But he is the best back. And, when it comes to the screen game or throwing to running backs, Madison, Chandler, McBride, Wanwu, none of them have distinguished themselves as somebody who can catch. Now, C.J. Ham has, and I'm serious when I say that, because it's not like you're going to screen to C.J. 5 times a game, but you have a pass-catching outlet from the backfield, so that's big. So now the fact that you have that, and depending, if Dalvin, like say he adjusts his money and you're around a 5, 6, 7, whatever, it's not going to go lower than that. Well, does that mean you're now beholden to serve him because he's the best overall back? And then does that stunt anything else you want to do? So it's a very, very convoluted conversation. I don't really know which way I'd bet because we are here at June 3rd. But nevertheless, with the tight end, Josh Oliver, okay, this is the best run-blocking tight end in the NFL. So now you mesh that with the players for whom he blocked, J.K. Dobbins, when he was healthy, and all the other bits that they would roll in there, including Latavius Murray and Devonta Freeman and players like that. And they still would move the ball. Granted, Lamar runs, but they'd still move it. So now the last layer I look at is with him and the way you block the run into 2023, do you need a high-priced tailback? So I guess I'm 58%, for I don't know. I don't want to lay a percentage on it.
Say, PA, last week we had the greatest three-point shooter in Duluth-Denfeld basketball history, one Cortez Ham. CJ was talking. We talked a little bit about a few things. So one of the things we asked him about was Flores' defense from an OTA point of view, because everything that we read sounded like Flores' defense was bringing gas right away. What have you heard about or seen out of the OTAs regarding Flores' defense?
Well, you're not going to see a ton at this stage because. When they do go 11 on 11, specifically on media days, you're not going to see what it's going to look like in training camp. The take and the talker and the tell here, if you want to see close to what it's going to look like, is getting tickets to one of the joint practices against Tennessee or Arizona, and bring a bucket hat and bring a little umbrella and some sunscreen. Find access to some water and some binoculars, because then when you get on it, you're going to be able to see the nuance of him placing them exactly where they're supposed to be. So I'm really, really excited for that, because I know what you're talking about. You had not only defensive, but a lot of offensive players really, really praising what they're seeing. They're not saying or making proclamations or guarantees it's going to be top 10 dominating. It's so different from anything you see on a weekly basis. That is what is causing some of these players to become enamored.
I want to talk to you a little bit about OTAs on the other side of the ball. I want to talk about offense, because you brought up media days, and there are some media folks that like to fish for drama even when it isn't there. There's nothing to be made of the fact that Justin Jefferson hasn't been there, or is there?
No, not at all, because there are players and coaches who publicly, mostly, or privately, I would imagine, I haven't been over there a lot last couple of months, absence makes the heart grow fonder for me. But nevertheless, is you're hearing people say he's cool. I mean, he has the whole plan. I wouldn't be surprised if the video of like what he's supposed to do against certain defenses and stuff like that. No, Justin's a consummate professional. Honestly, I got no idea why he's not there. There is zero perception of any problem with JJ.
So, PA, one of the things that I was talking with a few friends that they said next time you talk to PA, ask him this. We don't get a chance to see, real personalities when it comes to players. It's just the way it is. I'm wondering over your time with the Vikings, who are some of the more unique personalities that maybe as a fan you don't get to see?
That's a very interesting question, because you'll hear the leadership piece with players, come from fans or be written about by media members or talked about, and the version of leadership that they see and that people see is like Peyton Manning or Tom Brady, caught on NFL films going up and down the bench. getting after offensive linemen or skill position players and just trying to lead that way. Well, I mean, those are two of the greatest in the history of the game. Not everybody can do that, because if you do it the wrong way and you don't have the equity with it, you might get punched. And then a civil war begins, and then, that's obviously not preferred during a game. So when it comes to unique personalities, you have the ones like Josh Freeman, okay, who his time here didn't count. He had that Monday night game throwing it out of MetLife Stadium against the New York Giants. It was ridiculous. But, Josh, you could talk to Josh about anything, and he would always bring it back to this snake collection that he had. And I think a lot of them were boa constrictors. So he was just a very, very different going kind of guy. Greg Joseph has an interesting personality because Greg can be very funny and very biting. And as Judaism goes, he is staunch in his faith, and he'll make references like that, which is different. And, Ontario Smith, man, put the Whizzinator to the side. The airport bit with the Whizzinator in like 06. Ontario, he had a different personality, man. I mean, he was up or down. I mean, he could be one of the most loving human beings that you've ever met. And then I'd hear him, just get after somebody sometimes, and it would be really mean. So you see all kinds. Brett Favre was unbelievable. I mean, I could just go on and on.
We are talking to PA Paul Allen, the voice of the Vikings, mainly about Vikings football because, again, he's one of the most revered voices in the NFL, and rightfully so. But another thing, PA, that I know is near and dear to your heart, and I watched a video on social media last weekend, you look so incredibly at peace and filled with joy, quite frankly, when you're doing horse races at Canterbury Park. Talk to me how that's been already, because it's alive and well, and you're flourishing in it, and the passion you have for it is pretty obvious.
Oh, that's really sweet that you brought that up, man. I'm in Minnesota because of Canterbury Park opening in 1995. So, I mean, I was a newspaper writer for the Pasadena Star-News and USA Today in Southern California from 89 to 93, very close to horse racing, covered high school sports, covered people who ended up going to the NBA, NFL, MLB, and stuff like that. I mean, Southern California sportsman. But I always wanted to be on a microphone. So Randy Sampson gave me an opportunity at Canterbury in 95. So for 5 years, I went from the Bay Area to Grand Island, Nebraska to fill in for somebody for a month and a half, up to Shakopee, Minnesota, and back. And that's a tough trail, man. That's, because especially if you're betting on the races or you're having to pay double rent and stuff like that, there's just not a lot of money to be had at that stage of your career, man. And I'm approaching my mid-30s. And Randy and Canterbury believed in me on the microphone, really with just not blind faith, but I just started my career racetrack announcing 2 years before. And so then Doug Westerman with KFan gave me an opportunity in 1997 to do sports updates at AM 1130 KFAM then. And then the whole thing took off. They got together and brought me back here in 98. But Canterbury is most deeply rooted in my heart of all my jobs. And quite honestly, it's not even close. And I'm really glad that through the course of the grace, the mercy, and the blessing, that God has presented me with 3 of these jobs for the last 25 to 29 years. It takes my breath away. Canterbury was first. And, the fact that I get to work with and see how corporations work, like iHeartRadio or the National Football League and the Minnesota Vikings, and then go to a racetrack where you have hundreds of people living that nomadic journey that I lived for 5 years. And it's very, very hard to travel around the country every single year, pick up and leave, and then come back. And they've done it for decades. And they really have an appreciation for simplistic things that can be lost in the shiny toy world. And I just love that kind. It's very humbling to me with a lot of things I do outside of horse racing, and they're salt of the earth, and I just love them all. So you actually got me a little choked up right there, man, thinking about all those jobs that I've been blessed enough to have. But the racetrack piece is that's most deeply rooted in the heart.
Absolutely. I appreciate the genuine emotion with that. I want to talk a little bit about the current state of horse racing then, if you will, because the third prong of the Triple Crown is coming up next weekend with the Belmont. I appreciate that race, but I look at it from, say, a PR standpoint, and I always, quote, feel bad for it because the Kentucky Derby is the Run for the Roses. You know, the majestic nature of that is just there. The Preakness always has the follow-up excitement because somebody just mathematically has a shot at the Triple Crown. Yep. The Belmont has to hope somebody does. Didn't work out this year. Is the Belmont the forgotten race, or what's your take on that one next weekend?
Well, no, nobody cares about the Belmont unless you have a chance for a horse to sweep the Triple Crown. And then it has to be the type of horse like American Pharoah or, something that captures the imagination of the nation. What we're going to do tonight at Canterbury at 5 o'clock, believe it or not, is as interesting to Minnesota as the Belmont Stakes in a week at Belmont Park. So, horse racing, it was dubbed the sport of kings because when it started to own a racehorse and buy racehorses and for the upkeep and the purse money and everything, only the kings, the richest of the rich, would take part in it. Well, over the course of decades, things have changed, and it's there are 18 to 22 minutes between each race. Now, when it comes to wagering and making money with your mind, that there honestly is no better game to bet because you can bet a little and win a lot, and it's not a slot pull or scratching a ticket or anything like that. But it takes mind work, and it takes a lot of work to understand it. And people just don't either want to put that time in or don't have that time. So it's fallen by the wayside to a certain extent nationally. But nevertheless, at Canterbury, we do it differently than a lot of racetracks. We recognize we're very comfortable with our lot in life. And we're an entertainment facility before we are a heritage racetrack, and that's how we advance.
I've never been to Canterbury and had a bad time. I will certainly let you know when I make it there this summer. I try to get there at least once or twice. Last question for you today. It is, quote, the NFL offseason, although we'll all contend that the NFL doesn't have one. Twins are playing well. It's a first-place operation, but there's a ton of season left. Other two major sports are in their championship rounds, if you will, NBA Finals, Stanley Cup Finals. I'm just going to phrase it like this. Nuggets or Heat, Panthers or Vegas? What do you got and why?
Well, what the Nuggets did to Jimmy the Bulldog the other night should be a felony in 48 states, and it's a low hanger, as in low hanging fruit right now, to look at that series and say Denver is going to sweep. If Miami does not win tonight, Miami will get swept because the Jokic factor is it's too much for the NBA right now. Even Joel Embiid chasing him around. You just got to chase a guy around who can rebound, pass, and score. It's unbelievable, and he's awkward with everything he does. So now you got elbows flying. So he's a unicorn, and they'll win that series. The fact that the Florida Panthers haven't lost a road playoff game since that very first game, 1-0 against Boston, well, that's unbelievable. I picked Vegas to win this thing about 2 months ago. It was when the Wild went out there and laid that proverbial egg. And with Mark Stone coming back and everything, I just really became enamored with Vegas. They know how to play in these moments too. But Florida was not absolutely in the postseason in the final week of the regular season. It needed some things to happen, then got in, and now they're unbeatable. Well, that's what happened to the LA Kings when they won as an 8, and Florida will win the Stanley Cup as an 8.
That is beautifully stated. PA, you're the best. Thanks for putting up with my technical circus. Let's talk again soon.
Thanks, PA.
What?
Exactly. Exactly. Love you.
Hello?
Love you.
Love you.
Thank you. That is PA. That's our guy. He's gone. We were lucky to have him in the first place.
We were.
Buy or sell? That's not a horse racing question. It's a Justin May question. Stick around. We'll be right back with that.
This podcast is sponsored by Ramp. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/easy. Ramp.com/easy. RAMP.com/easy.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Back on the Northland Sports page, I used to say back during my senior year of high school that was my theme song. There are a lot of jokes in there, but it's a good song, and maybe the only one where my musical senior year beats yours. That's one you like a lot too.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the great underrated songs of all time, because it really just, I don't know anybody that doesn't like it, because even if they say I don't like it, then they start singing it as they walk.
But if you didn't know the name of it, wouldn't you say, oh yeah, it's called I Get Knocked Down or I Get Up Again?
That might be one of the problems of it.
Tell me why it's called tub thumping.
Yeah.
And have you ever done that? I only have a walk-in shower. I don't know how I could do that.
Well, you turn over one of those tubs and you use it like a drum.
Can we use it as a verb for a blowout in sports? One team tub thump the other?
100%.
You know, I think would do that. Justin May would use that as a descriptor.
He might, yeah.
He's our realtor at Messina & Associates. He joins us right now. Justin May, good morning. Happy Saturday, my friend.
Good morning. I hate following the legendary PA, but I did do exactly what he did, and I'll give you my top three of my senior year, and you guys have to guess the year.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, first of all, you got to tell us the year, but a little trivia. I like it. Go ahead.
So, I'll Make Love to You by Boyz II Men was number 3.
Okay.
I Swear by All for One was number 2. And The Sign by Ace of Base was number 1.
Okay, so I think that's going to put you just a little bit older than me. I'm going to say 94. And Dave says 93.
I Googled 93 first and then went, you dummy, you graduated in 94, so I had both of them on the cusp. But you are correct, 94.
Wow. So we did pretty well. I don't know if that's our good at guessing Justin May's age or better at music. I think it's option B.
It's the Ace of Base that kind of put it
That's
in
what gave it to
days.
me, too. I remember the girls in my senior class really liking that song, but I knew it had come out before we were seniors. So I knew you were just a touch older than me. But it is fun to look back at that. And Justin May, I want to ask you this, because when Dave and I were prepping the music today and using our graduating year as the method to our madness, we both said our high school era was good, our senior year wasn't. Did you have that same theory? Were you thinking of hey, early 90s jams were good, but not necessarily that senior year?
Oh, I thought you were talking just in general. Yeah, music wasn't good, although Garth ruled the airwaves, and I'm a bit of a country fan, so that was good. And you had the King with George Strait and those guys. So our music wasn't terrible, but my senior year was fabulous.
Now, what I am hearing when I go on many, many walks, because the weather's been nicer, I do 2 to 4 miles per day. I've been walking by a lot of houses, obviously, in the lakeside neighborhood that I live in, and there's music blaring outside a lot of homes. How much in the housing world does maybe, the deck come into play, an outdoor patio area come into play? Duluth doesn't have a long enough summer, but when we have it, how much does that factor into trying to, sell a home, pun fully intended?
Well, funny you should mention that, Brian, because that is a really small mechanical, but it's a very important piece of building new homes and all the information technology that goes into them. And I'd say 10 years ago, the wiring, and now with the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and communication devices, it's way easier. So you're seeing the more wise homes that have been around a little bit longer that look tech savvy that actually aren't, because of the minor mechanicals that are taking care of that for us.
Now, Dave Cook, the reason I bring that up is because I love that type of atmosphere. I love going by a house and maybe smelling somebody out grilling, the music's going. Somebody's having a good time. I smile every time I go by that kind of place. Except what I do recently is I walk with the Twins broadcast going on out of my pocket. Not earbuds, because I don't trust myself with that, but I literally have it playing out of my pocket. And it was like, bases loaded, 2 out, here's the payoff pitch, and boom, music got all over it. And I went,
get knocked down.
I guess I'll have to figure out what happened in a few blocks. But what are you when it comes to the summer atmosphere? Are you a fan or no?
As far as like having a deck and stuff,
Outdoor activity, yeah.
Yeah, Dana and I have a solo stove that we have a big one, and then we have a little one Dana fired up last night, and Avery and Andrew came down. We had hamburgers and French fries, and yeah, as long as the mosquitoes aren't out, I'm good.
Now, Justin May, end of the school year is approaching. If you're a senior, again, that's the method of the music today. You're done. Congratulations to everybody. But, other grades, some schools are out. Some schools get out this week. Trust me, my wife is a second grade teacher, is certainly counting down. Does that free up the market for you a little bit? Because if families are looking to make a big move, that school year's finished, now we can explore the idea?
It's the first time you've ever led this conversation without saying anything about the weather, because we finally had 6 or 7 days of fantastic
I know, you
weather,
should be proud of me.
Absolutely. It's, I don't want to say it's on fire, but it is busy, busy, busy. There are a ton of homes that came on this week. There's a lot of showings going on. Just this morning, I've had 3 different real estate calls on people, thinking, well, the wife and I were sitting by the solo stove last night, and we thought, why do we have a cabin here and we go on vacation there, and why don't we just make it all one spot? So, or the move, it's that time of year where the hospitals are done their recruiting, and now everybody's coming in, and some people are leaving, and you have transition, and yeah, it is finally getting good.
Justin, you almost answered the question I was going to ask you. I was listening to a different show here earlier in the week, and somebody was coming into the state, and they said the one thing you need to avoid is Duluth, which I thought was crazy. I told Brian, he said it was crazy. If you had somebody ask you, all right, so I'm coming into Minnesota, I'm thinking about Duluth, what sort of things would you say are the reasons that you should actually come and visit Duluth if you're from out of state and never been to Minnesota before?
Well, you're right in my wheelhouse, David. You both know how much I am passionate about golf, and there is no better place in the world to play golf. I don't care what course you're on in July and August than Duluth, Minnesota, because the temperature doesn't scorch you out. The courses are magnificent, gorgeous. Everything's in bloom. It's just a great place to golf. The second thing I would tell everybody who's coming in here, you have to find a winter hobby. You have to find something that gets you outside in the winter, and you have to buy the gear to be safe to do that. I've called in from the show from Spirit. I've called into the show from Lutsen. You all know that I am super passionate about snowmobiling. I think that's key to living here, and I think our first couple of years here, we really were bad at that. We tried to hunker down and stay warm and, don't go out, you'll get frostbite, this, that, and the other. Now I feel the exact opposite, and I'm super passionate about our outdoor sports and how lucky we are to have them.
I appreciate that a lot, except, Dave Cook, you and I would probably contend, well, he's right, but you don't always have to subscribe to it because our hobby, albeit a well-paying one, is sitting in a rink or a gym with a microphone in our face.
True, but Justin's point is still the same. Yes. Our hobby happens to be in an arena.
Right. I'm teasing, yet I'm not. I have to personalize it at least a little. Yes. Time to play buy or sell, because there's no better guy to do that with than Justin May, our realtor at Messina & Associates. Give him a call at 218-310-9559 or log on to mzr.com. You can find all his listings whenever you need them. But this is the fun part. We play buy or sell, and it goes like this. I'm going to give a statement reflecting on each of the 4 major sports leagues. If you agree, you say buy, and you tell me why. If you disagree, you say sell, and you tell me why. Justin May will give great opinions, but he also controls the game. You've got the order. How would you like to play today, sir?
I'm going to put you on the hot seat because I heard you in the background. We were leading into my segment that you might have lost the MLB question. So did we find it?
Well, here's the thing. I write nothing down. Dave Cook can absolutely attest to that. And I remembered because we almost talked about it in the first hour, and I steered Dave away from it because I thought, if we analyze this now, it's not going to do us any good during buy or sell.
You manipulated me?
I've been doing that for how many years have we known each other? Right. Judge me accordingly. But yes, I'm fully ready to start with Major League Baseball, but some 20 seconds before this segment started, I may not have been. Here we go. Buy or sell. Now, conceptually, Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, even Joey Gallo should be the Minnesota Twins' best player. But buy or sell that Willie Castro is the most important.
Ugh.
No wonder he forgot this one.
I'm going to buy it because I can't pinpoint anybody else that would be the most most important player right now. I mean, I keep going back to Farmer just because I love what he's done and what he went through. And every time he seems to be in the lineup, we have a spark. But we really don't have a spark plug yet, do we?
I'm going to sell because I do think it's Kirilloff. However, Justin used the right word. It's spark plug.
Yep.
I mean, he's the guy that, when money seems to be on the table, Castro is asked to come through, and he seems to. I think Kirilloff's the best player on the team.
I agree with all of that. I didn't ask who the best player was. I asked about most important. The only other guy I considered besides Castro right now would be Johan Duran, because we watched what he was able to do last night. Problem there is the Twins are behind. Johan Duran is not going to see the game.
You got to get to him
right now, and it's
And
definitely.
I'm getting tired of not seeing him, I'll tell you that.
Well, last night was Christmas for you then in June, without a doubt, the way he finished that one. But with Willie Castro, this is definitely something Dave Cook likes to say. It's recency bias because, a month ago we were saying this guy should be optioned out and, let's get somebody else here from St. Paul. But a website that I love to go to, and this is the baseball nerd in me, is baseballreference.com. And you can find any stat you want, but it also includes position played. And it does it the way that you score a game. It does it by number. If you caught 2, first base 3, second 4, etc. You look at what Willie Castro's done in terms of innings played this year, there is everything there except catcher. So with the way that players get hurt on this team and you have to have interchangeable parts, he's the most interchangeable. So right now, June 3rd, 11:45 in the morning, I'll buy. A week or two might be the worst purchase I've ever made. Go ahead, Justin May.
Let's go to the NBA.
All right, NBA. The Heat versus the Nuggets. Game 2 is tomorrow. PA was talking about tonight. I believe Game 2 is tomorrow. But it segues nicely into my buy or sell. Buy or sell that the NBA Finals are dragged out too long.
Sell. It's all about money. Drag it, drag it, drag it. And usually I'm not behind the league, but on these things, and especially in the NHL and the NFL, and I guess all of them, because I love October baseball. So if you're a huge basketball fan, which you know that I am, why would you not love basketball in June?
Now, this is interesting because Justin May's point there almost changed my mind. You go first.
Is he? I think Justin's tongue-in-cheek here. I think.
Are you sure?
Well, the last bit for sure.
Yes.
I think that
that was sarcasm that I may have dripped your direction. Go ahead.
Are you manipulating me again? I think that the
check.
I think that the I'm going to sell this. It's dragged out way too long.
So you're buying it.
Buying it. It's dragged out way too long. Justin's right about the money part, but that doesn't change the fact that this is silly.
I agree with you. I'm going to buy that it's dragged out too long. But again, Justin almost changed my mind with the money thought, because here's the thing. We're almost universally in agreement on this show, although, Justin, you haven't weighed in yet. PA did, and we did earlier. Denver may not lose a game here. So if it's only a 4-game series and, you play every other day, you're only in the NBA Finals for roughly a week. But I'm going to buy that it's dragged out too long because they're putting an extra day between just about every game. And to me, that's useless when you're not traveling. And then the other thing, though, too, is why should we be surprised? This is the league that introduced us all to load management. So, of course, they're putting extra time in there. This is silly. They used to do it during the early rounds because there were lots of series. They're still doing it, and there's nobody else playing. It's kind of dumb. Go ahead, Justin May.
I think it's all vindicated on TV time and how much marketing dollar they can get, and they don't really care what we think. I agree with every single point that's been made, and I might be a little facetious in my favorite sport, but you can't drag it out long enough when you're making the marketing dollars.
You and I are interesting because you love basketball the way that I love golf. And yes, there's sarcasm in there. What's next? We're 2 down, 2 to go.
Let's go to the NFL.
This is going to be a fun one, and I'm curious if this is going to take too much time. It might be a really short final segment today. So, in Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts led that team to a Super Bowl and almost led him to a Super Bowl win and got a massive contract. And I believe the overwhelming consensus is he's the best quarterback in the NFC. Not the NFL, in the NFC. Buy or sell that if you agree with that, Kirk Cousins is probably second. And Vikings fans, some of them probably just turned their radio off.
Oh, man, Brian, you were in deep thought this week. What
Right?
have you been doing?
See, that's just it. My announcing is done. I have nothing to do. Go ahead.
I sell that. I like Kurt. I like what he's done for the organization. I think he is the quarterback that the Vikings need. I don't think he's a talented quarterback. I think he's the quarterback the Vikings need. So I couldn't give him second, third, or fourth in any division because I just don't think he's talented enough. But is he the right guy and is he a leader? Absolutely.
See, and that begs a fun question too, Dave Cook, because it's your turn. You can't Google that answer. I see you on your phone. But the interesting part is, potential-wise, he's longer in the tooth. So you're not going to sit there and say, let's build around him. That time has probably passed. But the way he's been playing, is he second right now in the NFC? Not the division, not the league, because I think the AFC owns 8 of the top 10 quarterbacks at least, especially with Brady out and Rodgers shipping himself over to the AFC. But go ahead.
I kind of chuckle at, Hurts. Granted, he had a great year last year, but he wasn't, all that in a bag of chips the year before, and now his offensive coordinator left. So we'll see. We forget about Derek Carr came into the NFC, and what is Derek Carr?
But he came to the NFC because he got laughed at in the AFC.
Hold on. What is he but Kirk Cousins? Like that, he's kind of the same guy, just a couple years younger. And also, where are you on Dak Prescott? Those are the two people that I would say, hold tight. But as we sit today, unless you're a huge fan of Stafford, which I am, or you believe in the ghost of the guy in Seattle,
or if you think Kyler can figure it out post-injury.
I think Kyler's done. I just really think Arizona's going to draft number 1, and he's going to float around forever. So I'm gonna say I think you're probably right. Although Matt Stafford, if he's healthy, probably is the second. Might be the first.
See, now you took a lot of my other names to mention, so I'm going to be really short on this. I'm going to buy for right now, but Jared Goff could be close. He's probably got a better team. I don't think that makes him a better quarterback. Kirk has the best weapon in Jefferson. Goff will look better because his defense can win him games. We have yet to see if Minnesota's can. Matt Stafford, is he dead or not? That's a great question. Dak, who is he? Brock Purdy, who's he? The NFC isn't exactly littered with great quarterbacks anymore.
Where's Bryce Young going to be this year at this time, or next year at this time? That'd be a great question to ask.
It is. Can rookies be that productive that fast? Mr. Irrelevant last year was. All right, so we've got one left. I can do that math easily. It is the NHL. It's similar to the timeline question I made with the NBA. The Stanley Cup Finals finally start tonight. Buy or sell that the NHL waited too darn long to start this thing?
I'll buy it this year, but only because we've seen the tornado that everybody's, Florida, just damage everybody. So I think it's on a production schedule, again, driven by marketing dollars. And this year it feels like so long that we may have lost interest. But in most years, if you had 3 Game 7s going to get here, it wouldn't seem like it was this long of a wait.
I think that if it was 2 number 1 seeds or seeds that were really high up that were just good hockey teams, I think it would be fine. I think Florida had so much momentum from being the 8th seed, having a grind through to Chuck's awesome, run. I think that this extended time off takes a lot of fuel out of that engine.
I think it does too. I think you both make great points. Justin said if you'd have had great grinder series to get here that went 6 or 7, you wouldn't be thinking about it. We didn't really have that. Dallas made a small comeback to make Vegas at least care a little bit. Florida ran roughshod over everybody. I guess that's the reason I buy, because to me, the team that did sweep its way here should kind of have dealer's choice, if you will. Denver got to wait as well. Boston and Miami in the NBA went 7. But Florida got there quickly. Vegas didn't get there as quickly. There should be some advantageous angle to that. Vegas should have had to play, they clinched the series Monday. This thing should have started Wednesday or Thursday. I think back to when the Twins won game 163, the last game in the Dome, over the Tigers. We didn't get to wait a week to face the Yankees. I think they might have faced the Yankees the next day and looked terrible because there was 100% hangover, maybe literally, from champagne flowing in a clubhouse. But it took you too long to get there, so you paid the price. How come Vegas didn't? So that's where I stand on that.
Definitely a disadvantage for Florida. I agree 100%. The train could have came off the rails the last week with as long as they've been sitting.
I absolutely agree with you. But if people have been sitting on buying or selling a house, doing it with you is the best way to do it. One more time. I'm your PR guy. I already did it, but it sounds better coming from you. Give that number, give that website so your real estate market stays very busy.
If you need a private dancer, you're looking for the wrong spot. But my phone number is 218-310-9559. I'd love to give you a private showing or log on to mzr.com anytime.
I love you and your musical knowledge today, too, and your flashback for the late, great Tina Turner. You are the best. Justin May, let's talk again next Saturday. Have a good one, my friend.
I'm always waiting on you guys. Just tell me where to plug me in.
We appreciate it. That's our utility guy. Our Willie Castro is Justin May. Final segment is next. Stick around. We'll be right back.
This podcast is sponsored by Ramp. Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's business cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor. And Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/easy. Ramp.com/easy. RAMP.com/easy.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
Back on the Northland Sports Page, one final segment. Brian Prudhomme and Dave Cook keeping our hands to ourselves. I'm not manipulating you in any way, Dave Cook. Very short segment to close the show. We had a guest today that wasn't able to make it due to some family issues. We want to wish all the best to him and his family health-wise. Hope everything works out fine. So we called some audibles in a very short segment today. Again, the musical themes was our graduating year, 86 for Dave, 97 for me. Shout out to all the seniors whose academic careers wrapped up, but some athletic have not. The teams from Proctor, the teams from Superior, softball state bound.
Well, we talked a little bit about last week about the Superior softball team, undefeated.
Still perfect.
And let's see them run the whole table. That would be a blast. And, Proctor's softball has been good for a long time, and let's see them grind it out as well.
And it's not just softball for Proctor. That baseball team's still going. Duluth East in action today. Plenty of area baseball. Marshall actually bowed out at the expense of Proctor. So, again, the Rails maybe haven't gotten the attention they deserve, and now they certainly will. So, spring sports, they get back-burnered a little bit because, quite frankly, the season of spring does. Sometimes it's non-existent. The talent is.
Absolutely. The talent's great. Scholastica, I also want to mention Lily Beneke. She was an All-American, finished third in the country in the hammer throw. That's a big deal when we get somebody with local ties who is a college All-American as well.
No question about it. And the Duluth Huskies, their season continues. The home portion of their season started last night. Attendance has been a problem for this team for many, many years. We talked about it last year. They were the bottom of the league, averaging 726 per game. Last night at the home opener, they were 33 under that. Come on, Duluth. Summer's here. Baseball. That's summer. Get there.
Best place for kids to be in the city in the summer, because the Huskies do a lot of things that we kind of think about. But the one thing they do great is families and kids, and so bring them there.
Best place for everybody to be, as Dave said. My favorite place to be on Saturday mornings is right here. That'll do it for another Northland Sports Page. Thank you, Dave Hoops. Thank you, Justin May. Thank you, PA. Thanks to my guy, Dave Cook.
Well, thanks, Brian, for having me. It's good to be back in the saddle.
It's funny how it's always fun. We'll see you next Saturday. Have a good weekend.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.